we're not accepting the narrative from the old people who continually drop the ball year after year, month after month, week after week, day after day, hour for hour, selling their souls for money and power, even going as far as becoming a part of the Illuminati and the British Masonic Society. That is correct. Many Negroes do it, have done it, and we do not get to talk about these Negroes enough. And today we will, and cover all of that as I go in on who is really Harriet Tubman. So, we're going to break down Harriet Tubman's birthplace and her early years and who she really worked for. Because all we know is she freed some slaves. You know, she freed 70 slaves, 70 plus slaves in 13 separate occasions. But that's all we know. And plus, we get rammed and jammed up with all the information they give us from Hollywood and these school books that was authorized by the Great Britons. We know the Great Britons, the bright, pale people of Britain, authorized all of this information. So it is bullshit. And what we have to do is go in here and fix it up and revise it to fit our narrative for, the progress we want to make in life. You cannot rob me and steal from me and lie to me and write my story for me. And that's what I'm about to do. So, Harriet Tubman, born Araminta Ross in 1822, and passed in 1913 of March, was an American abolitionist and political activist. Born into slavery, Tubman escaped and subsequently made some 13 missions to rescue approximately 70 enslaved peoples, including family and friends, using the network of anti-slavery activists and safe houses known as the Underground Railroad. She later helped abolitionist John Brown recruit men for his raid on Harper's Ferry. During the American Civil War, she served as an armed scout and spy for the Union Army. In her later years, Tubman was an activist in the struggle for women's suffrage. Let's go in up on this, people. Okay, let's go in. Let's get this right now. So, she was born Harriet Tubman, Araminta Ross, and she was later known as Harriet Tubman. So that is two different people. You would have to really be a deep researcher, not a child, to understand that Harriet Tubman is a spy name. It says it right here. She was a scout and a spy for the Union Army. Do the children even know what the Union Army is? Do they know what women's suffrage is? Do they know that this woman is a Mason, a black Mason, and a spy for a military and was a general in a army? So it says that she was freeing slaves, but how do we not know if she was running in someone's territory, stealing the people, trying to get them into confusion so whoever she's working for in the Union Army can run up in there? She's from Maryland, and we understand Maryland, that's a Moorish building, so we get an idea. We understand Maryland is nothing but Moreland, and it was occupied by non-British people before they got here. So it's a whole different type of people who was running Maryland, and they never ever tell us who they were. They just try to say some Indians or some Native Americans was here. They don't tell us the exact nations that was trading. So let's get up in here and figure this out. Let's find out some facts about her before I give my breakdown. I have to give you the breakdown. Harriet Tubman was born Araminta Ross. She would later adopt the name Harriet after her mother, Harriet Ross. The surname Tubman comes from her first husband, John Tubman, who she married in 1844. So it looks like she was 22 years old. She's running back and forth to Pennsylvania and Philadelphia from Maryland. She's walking. I'm assuming she's walking, or she's getting on the railroad, Or she's probably on the Underground Railroad where they had trains underground traveling without nobody knowing, proving that more than likely they are indigenous to America. Number 2, Harriet was born a slave and raised on Maryland's Eastern Shore where the lines between slavery and freedom are often blurred. It was not unusual for families in this area to include both free and enslaved members. So families had slaves and free people in one family. So family would sit up there and be free and look at they unfree people. So we're dealing with a language that is primary. It is not really legal language, because what are they saying by saying some were free and some were not? Her status, however, remained unchanged until she fled to Pennsylvania, a free state. So Pennsylvania is a free state and she was considered free there. But in Maryland, she wasn't free. But she was married to a free black man named John Tubman, whatever that means. So even though she married him, her status didn't become free. So Harriet would return to Maryland many times over the next decade to rescue both family and non-family members from the bondages of slavery. Listen to the language. Bondages of slavery. We got to understand what bondage is, because most people are in bondage right now today as African Americans, Negro, blacks, and colors. Harriet earned the nickname Moses after the prophet Moses in the Bible, who led his people to freedom in all of her journeys. She never lost a single passenger. So it's saying a passenger, so they're obviously using trains for real. They're using a tunnel to smuggle people out of some civilization. Tubman's work was a constant threat to her own freedom and safety. Slaveholders placed a bounty for her capture in the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, and her ever-present danger imposing severe punishments on any person who assisted the escape of a slave. So according to federal law back then, or Continental Congress law, whatever existed, you can be imprisoned for helping a fugitive. So she was a fugitive. Harriet wore many hats. She was an active proponent of women's suffrage and worked alongside women such as Susan B. Anthony. During the Civil War, Harriet also worked for the Union Army as a cook, nurse, and even a spy. Facts. Harriet was acquainted with leading abolitionists of the day, including John Brown, who conferred with General Tubman about his plans to raid Harper's Ferry. Harriet had one daughter, Gertie, who she and her second husband, Nelson Davis, adopted after the Civil War. Harriet suffered lifelong headache seizures and had vivid dreams as a result of a traumatic head injury she suffered as a teenager while trying to stand up for a fellow field hand. These same symptoms gave her powerful visions that she ascribed to God and helped guide her on many trips to the North while leading others to freedom. Just before Harriet's death in 1913, she told friends and family, "I got to prepare a place for you." She was buried with military honors in Fort Hill Cemetery in New York. So that's pretty much the breakdown. That's the briefing. You know, she got other things she did in her 90-year-old life. She did a lot. She didn't have any children though, but she was a general leader in the Union Army, a nurse, and a spy. So she played a mega role in Great Britain, defeating the indigenous Americans, in whom the Confederates consisted of. That is correct. This cannot be debated. It cannot be debunked, countered, or rebutted. And this is my take. This is my interpretation. And pretty much once I lay it down, it is what it is. So you understand I would not be talking about this if I hadn't done research on it already and know what I know. So I'm going to give you a little bit more of the breakdown, and I'm going to go all the way in on what this woman really represents, because you need to know. So she was definitely a spy, where she helped guide fugitives farther north into British North America. So we got to understand, she helped the guide fugitives to the British North America, and she's uniting with people that is conspiring to raid Harper's Ferry. We need to know about that and her Methodist upbringings. So the Methodists is a group of historically related denominations of Protestant Christianity which derive their practice and belief from their life and teachings of John Wesley and George Whitefield's and John's brother Charles Wesley. So these people she's acquainted with are foreign with foreign customs, and it is time to separate from these people who believe that this woman is our ally. Let's find out who this woman was spying on and who she was getting invaded. And we're going to give you the real breakdown. I'm going to give it to you. Let's go up in here. I'll come back to this. Is this it? Beyond no. Reparations, Civil War. Okay, let's go in. The last Confederate troops to surrender in the Civil War were Native Americans. So we pretty much get an idea who we're fighting against. We have the Christian black people. And this Civil War expanded all the way to the west coast of Oregon, California, New Mexico, Kansas, Missouri, Texas. This Civil War that they call the Civil War for some other reason, if we have the Americans versus the Britons and these albino people and their black Christians from Africa. So this is one example of what we're dealing with the facts that the people of the Confederacy are Native Americans, and a lot of these black people, these black Christian, these black Democratic talking point Negroes on TV, they understand. They say that the Native Americans had slaves too. But what you people don't understand is the big secret is a lot of these slaves were white-skinned people, and they were Briton immigrants. They were like illegal immigrants, just like the federal government will lock you up for crossing the border too many times. The Americans did it too. They locked them up for crossing the border illegally, smuggling drugs up into Massachusetts and New England. It was in New England back then. But they were smuggling people, and they were doing a lot of illegal things here, and those Britons and others had to go to jail. They're trying to say it was slavery, but it was only imprisonment. They're saying it was slavery because they don't recognize their nation, and I'm going to prove it as soon as I can get something on the Confederacy. Okay, so here's another idea of what we're dealing with, peeps. The Confederacy was these people who had the land. You know, they had the land and the authorization to build to the right. Those men at the bottom to the right. And all of these pale people were exiles from Great Britain and Wales and Scotland. And also they were defects. They defected once they knew the racist agenda of Great Britain. They tried to help these old men and the women and children, but they eventually got in trouble for deserting their posts, you know. And I can try to prove that in this video. But these old men are the Confederates as well as the Native Americans of a lighter hue, but they are Native. And the Harriet Tubmans of the world went to smuggle people up out of their civilization. And what she did was actually in turn put them back in bondage. That's why we have the Emancipation Proclamation. The people went right back into bondage. You left the so-called Confederacy who wanted to split up and not have Great Britain in our business. We never wanted to be led by Great Britain or anybody. And we have our own understanding of government. And we have Harriet Tubman who's saying, no, you niggas should not have no white people working for you. You should have no light-skinned, pale Europeans as your employees. You should be working for them. Jesus is white. This is the mind frame of this bitch. You don't understand. A lot of sick in the mind Moors out here believing that this woman is a Moabitess. I didn't see many niggas try to justify her being a Moabitess, Moorish American princess out here, representing Islam. That is Masonic, her hands crossed. That is masonry, as we can see. Ain't no average woman with a low level intelligence and short span in the education and academics is going to be knowing all these hand gestures. That is the Mason-Dixon line. That is correct. Of where the Masons was at. Mason-Dixon is all masonry, whether you like it or not. And that is not no damn Mason-Dixon line of no slave masters that separate the North and the South. You understand me? That is the dividing of the country, of them pretty much building a wall, cutting off the blacks in the South because they're about to run in on them. They have already got this locked down. Now they're about to run in the South on the Seminoles and the Creeks and the remnants of them and the sellouts who sold out against them. The people who sold out against the Creeks, the Moors, and the Spanish and the Latins, they're about to run in on them now. They feeling the brunt right now. They're about to get it because Harriet Tubman, she decided that blacks or men or Moors should not have a government. So she became a fugitive for doing that. But because you minimize the man's authority, you minimize the woman's authority of the Moorish or the Negro culture, you, in your mind, you support her. You like, look, you niggas shouldn't be out here arresting no white people. Don't be locking them Great Britain people up for coming over here. They have a right to be over here. They have a right to manifest their destiny. We are all Christians under Jesus. You understand what Christianity already did to our people. This bitch is one of them people, but in your niggerized mind, you would be mad because I called her a bitch. But you know what? I know for a fact what that religion did to our people and what it do to our people right now today. That is a goddamn strong hand ass, Masonic ass bitch who helped Great Britain. It says it, family. It says it right here. Let me show you. Whilst I go in on this motherfucking clown, because if Martin Luther King ain't getting no love, what make you think she finna get some love? So let's go in. She guided the raid at Combahee Ferry. So we know what Ferries is and Harper's Ferries is. Let's get a good look at Combahee Ferry if they should. Now, I bet you Harper's pop up though. Let's go up here to Harper's Ferry. Let's get to showing you people what's at stake. Now we see Harper Ferry is just like Tenochtitlan or Tenochtitlan in Mexico. It is the same format, the same marshy terrain of living like an island on the water. Let me show you. I can look it up. It should be up in here. Here it is. And on top of that, all right, here go. This is a better example. Look at that. It is just like Tenochtitlan in Mexico, like I said, and I'm going to show that as an example of the Moorish ingenuity that is being stolen. Look at those buildings, those so-called Tartar buildings. And it took some real deal engineering back then to get this done. It cannot be done overnight. There's no way in the world some pale-skinned European Britons who's just getting over here is building this overnight. They stole this and she raided it, so it's not fucking Harriet Tubman's. She helped Great Britain. She helped the people go to Great Britain Christianity. So we know it's not theirs. We know who dreaded this river. We know who formed this. We know who did the landscaping. We know who did this. It was the mechanics and the farmers. And she helped run up in there. You got to keep it real, people. You got to keep it real with yourself sooner or later, people. You know, you got to keep it real. You got to keep it real at some point. Let's go back into Harriet. We're going to get more on Harriet before I get up out of here. Because I'm just getting started. You know, I'm just getting started. This is not going to be a smooth transition. I got to get all of the facts on this person. So she's a fugitive up under the real law. Says she was a fugitive because she is helping illegal immigrants. If you was helping some illegal immigrants up in America right now today, you going to jail. If you go down to Mexico and try to help them people in here illegally, you going to jail. So she went against the law. And because the country was divided back then, she ran up to Pennsylvania playing games with Great Britain. Let me show you. Let me show you that this is a clown, one of these clowns that you people are always looking up to, like Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King and all of these other clowns who was gay. They were homosexuals And because, God loves everybody in Christianity, they ran up with them. That it was an attractive religion because they can still pray to God without being persecuted. Because the American Indians not going, the Islam people, the North Africans not going, the Asians is not going. They was hacking up the gay society, and this woman was gay. Her movie proved it in her movie, if you looked at the movie. And Frederick Douglass, all of them was into the gay stuff. They make them do the gay rituals. They always made them do the rituals, per se, Illuminati initiation. You know what it is. I don't have to lie to you. You know what it is. Come on now. This is feminism. She's a part of feminism. We know what feminism done to our community. We have nothing to do with these people. How we run our community has nothing to do with them. So they tricked our women out of it. This is one of the very first women to get tricked into the nonsense. And this woman is a goddamn spy. I don't care what you say. She's a criminal. President Trump is stalling out putting this woman on the $20 bill because he knows whether if she freed white men or not, she's a goddamn fugitive. Do the right thing, Donald Trump. So let's move on to further analysis. We're going to do Susan B. Anthony and her husband, Nelson. Let's say, who is Susan B. Anthony? Let's find out. So she is a European American writer and an abolitionist who was leading figure in women's voting rights. So she is fighting to get women some rights up in America or in the U.S. And we know she's a genocidal maniac and a part of their cause to subjugate us. It's nothing. It's no secret. It is no alliance. It's no secret or close proximity to us being related on any level. It is not possible. Whatever their books teach you is a goddamn lie. We don't know these people. They just ran up on us with their ideologies and transformed our environment using propaganda and usury and, of course, by force. So these people have their own ideas of who should live and where they should live and why they should live. They have nothing to do with us. We have our own birthrights. We have our own culture and belief system. They said we were savages and we had low IQs and we were African Afros. Why in the fuck do I care about them? I don't. But for study purposes, I'm going to learn about every last one of them, including the Negroes that helped them. That is correct. So this woman right here is another person to help them in their journeys to migrating into America. That is correct. We know this. And we know the Confederacy confederated against all of this. They was not having it like, why are these Negroes bringing these people in here? And when we go in here and do our research, we find out this is not our people. These are Nigerians. This is a Nigerian. Let's go on and show you. These are Nigerian Africans who came over here blending in. And then they wanted to get some rights for the people they brought with them. Do you understand what I'm saying? These are not our people. You claiming these people, they are immigrants. All of these people are immigrants. They don't speak on the same vibration as us. They don't think like us. You understand me? They married some of our sucker duck ass relatives and they ran in because they knew our people was just sweet and retarded and mutes. Some of our people don't talk, didn't talk, don't talk right now today. They are quiet, silent, peaceful people. And they got taken advantage of. You got to understand this. And she is a spy and a nurse for the Union. Let's go in. We have the United Kingdom and the American Civil War. Now, they played both sides of the fence. You need to know that. So, Britain played both sides of the fence because they knew we had oil in the Gulf Coast. Right now today, they have what we call the Alabama claims, where they took everything the Confederate lost because they were funding the Confederacy. And when the Confederate missions failed, they seized everything. They have everything, including the ports for cotton and tobacco. And you got to understand, people, they played both sides of the fence. And on top of that, took all the cotton, took all the waterways, installed British policies, and in fact had a deep assistance with slavery and Jim Crowism. Great Britain did, right? Great Britain. No need for me to going back and forth with Great Britain was the allies of the Confederacy. They never even recognized the Confederacy as a nation. The possibility of recognizing the Confederacy came to fore late in the summer of 1862. At that time, as far as any European could see, the war seemed to be stalemate. The U.S. attempt to capture the Confederate capital had failed, and in the East and West alike, the Confederates were on the offensive. So they were winning, about to get recognized. So if they would have won, they would have a country right now today. But they waited them out. They waited them out after the stalemate, and they eventually, through insurrection and insubordination, they defeated the Confederacy. A lot of people sold out and went to the Union. You need to learn your history and who has something to do with it. Let's talk. Let's go into the Union. Let's find someone in the Union. We're going to go into the Union after this. Economic ties. Even after the War of Independence and the War of 1812, there remained many commercial, social, and cultural ties between Great Britain and the United States. Two nations were also often competitors, suspicious of one another, particularly with regard to the British northern provinces. So even though they acting like they fighting, they're steady uniting against the darkies and the Moors and the Indians. Do you get it now? Do you pretty much get it? The United States and Great Britain is buddies? Now let's give you a clear conception of what Great Britain really is, people. You need to know what Great Britain really is. I don't think we getting it. Let's go right in on what the Great Britain is. So you can read from that. And the unearthing of mass Aboriginal graves at the Mohawk Institute in Canada. And the Queen Elizabeth Windsor II, head of the state of Canada and head of the Church of England, has been found guilty for tribunal crimes of church and state and crimes of genocide against children and human trafficking and possibly organ trafficking. Witnesses who were children even was assassinated. These people acting like that Great Britain is such of an enemy to America and a competitor. They serve the crown. The black people like Harriet Tubman serve the crown. That's why YouTube updated its algorithm to locate channels like this, because this is what they don't want to be talked about. They want you to talk about some goddamn black people every day. Some ADOS or some foundational black nonsense. They don't want to talk about the Aborigines that are missing right now today. This old ass woman is like 90 something. So 70 years ago, she was causing a lot of damage out here in America, man. You need to know that. You forgot about it and you want to blame the Moors because you work for her. You better blame the Moors because you work for her. You need to blame the Moors because you work for her. That is right, because we do the right thing and you don't want to do the right thing, so you want to work for her and make her rich and stealing all the treasures. That is correct. And I don't owe them nothing, because by blood we are not kin, and they don't honor the same mothers and fathers I honor. In fact, they kill their mothers and fathers. So the mass genocide is exposed, and the common law has found them guilty. And they are hiding in Chicago and in England, killing children there. I'm wondering why all those children are coming up missing in Chicago. Too many children coming up missing. This is not a conspiracy. This is not a game. It is nothing but weaklings out here. So I don't give a good goddamn what a nigga say when the whole world knows she guilty. But the Harriet Tubman negresses of the world don't even want to find her guilty. They don't want to say, like, let's go ahead and get these Britons out of here, these Britons. They love them to death. They love them to death. So I'm going to put her picture up on the thumbnail because she is Harriet Tubman's boss. And as you can see, the pretty little hat she wear, Harriet Tubman wear a lot of those hats. You know, she wear hats. A lot of design hats or whatever the passage said. But let's go up in here to find more about old Harriet Tubbs. So we understand Great Britain is running in America and they have colonies and they need to run in other people's shit. That's what they do. And she is a spy running in and she got the Masonic hands and everything. She probably killed people and children. So let's get how many people did she enslaved. That is correct. Harriet Tubman is a goddamn slaver. She was running up in these people's lands, acting friendly, acting like an old fucking woman who needs some help, getting your ass whopped upside your head, stolen, nigga. That is right. I exposed it. She is a slave master, nigga, and she was getting the Indian children for Great Britain. Let's look. Let me find it. I'm finna prove it to you right now, nigga. Nigga, this is what I do. And this is really what I want to do. I don't really want to do the videos about the Aborigines, the American Indians, and all that more stuff. This is what I want to do. This is my passion right here of exposing these goofy ass albinos. Now check this out. Let's see how many she freed. It says approximately 70 enslaved people because she enslaved them. Let me show you. She's getting military honors. 70 people for albinos? Look at all that you melanin and all that blood. All that you melanin and all that blood, people. Think about that, people. The pale people need your plasma. They wasn't getting no plasma from nobody back then. They needed you to donate plasma back then. This clown was a goddamn slave catcher. And they got you celebrating this motherfucker. Look where it says occupation. Civil War scout, spy, nurse, suffragist, civil rights activist. Who was the fuck she was freeing? Let me show you, people. This is a goddamn slave master. She was taking workers and people living amongst Native Americans. She was tricking them up out of their culture into working for Great Britain because Great Britain needed workers. It says it right here, people. In 1849, Tubman escaped to Philadelphia, then immediately returned to Maryland to rescue her family. And then this says, after the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 was passed, she helped guide fugitives farther north into British North America. So we know British North America want to raid Harper's Ferry. Let's look at what this shit is really about. Let's look it out, people. Yo, we bust domes with the information over here. If you're not used to this, shame on you, and check it out, my people. This is Tenochtitlan, Tenochtitlan, whatever. But as you can see, the waterworks, these marshy lands turned into a Moorish oasis, is obviously what Great Britain got their goddamn eyes on the prize. You dig? These people out here building up is balling. Look at this water. What the boats is going past just like Venice. They're talking about some Venice of Europe. We been had that over here. The Venice of Mesoamerica. What? Venezuela had its name before Venice. You better know that. So, Carimio, Ohio, all of them are liars. I don't trust none of them because they're squirming. Been saying Moors was not over here. We are not Moors. I'm going to use all of this literature and research to prove that they are exactly Moors. That's the language they use because they understood dominance and genetics. It is something called dominance and genetics in the warrior gene that only the Moors have. And I'll go over that in another video. So look at the complex of these people, and you better believe it's in Georgia, America, making Georgia too. And Harriet Tubman wanted to run up in here. Look at her wanting to run up in here. Let's look it up. She's already a Methodist. She's a fugitive because she was doing illegal stuff. So the law had to be passed. Go and get this goddamn woman. This is way before the Civil War. So this act is going to lead to women like her really helping Great Britain. Look at Great Britain. John Brown is a goddamn European trying to free other immigrants, illegal immigrants, and other people caught up in the law system of the Americas. So, Blackwater River, Maryland, Minty Ross. Okay, let's go in and prove what I need to prove to cut this video out. Underground Railroad. Look at all of that red. That is railroad. That is actual railroads. And I wouldn't be surprised if Great Britain ain't the ones who constructed it for the invasion. Why they trying to act like it was some Indians or some black Moors. It probably was Great Britain building from the north to take over this country like they did other countries. Because even the Romans have built underground tunnels to take over lands. Okay. Harper's Ferry. We see the same or similar to Tenochtitlan Line. Fire destroy, magically destroying buildings as always. Always destroying these ancient places. Look at that thing, that building sticking up. All this Tartarianism. And you know they got some ancient stuff there that we need. Look, the armory grounds. It's dug up though. We'll never really know. Dug up, arsenal dug up. Don't tell me. Oh, that's a Balamku. French and Indian. This is it right here. Look at it. This is the fort protecting the Native Americans, looking like some geometry stuff. Geometric designs. Let's get out of here. Because we see we getting lied to. I hope you understand. But I have to go in on Harriet Tubman in a way that we never forget that she is a goddamn British spy. So that's what I want to do. The Union. Let's say the Union. The Union Army. Let's just say that. Then we're going to go in on the slavery. The Union Army. You see the cross, right? Let's get an image for the children who don't know. See, the Union is nothing but niggas too. So they was promised better pay because Great Britain was, they took over Europe. Everybody knew it. Like, look, nigga, Great Britain took over Europe and they taking over, nigga. You better join, nigga, because we is taking over America too. Everybody know what's going on in Europe. It's a wrap. And Great Britain already was in North Africa controlling shit. You think these niggas don't know? Yes, they do know. So, they got this selling out quick as fuck. And that's why they looking mean, because they know it's over. They did not really want to sell out, but they did, and they are sellouts anyway. They are sellouts, so there's nothing you can do. And as you can see, Massachusetts full of sellouts. Massachusetts, African American. Look, volunteer infantry. We see these people every day. Union soldiers. Great Britain. Great Britain. Great Britain. Great Britain. Now, they fought to make sure nobody was enslaved, basically. So, I'm not being an ass or a jackass. They actually fought to make sure no white people or no black people was enslaved. Now, I like this picture. It looked like some people with some hairdressers on this one. Let's get up in here. See if we can get they ain't gonna close up, is they? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. What they got on their head? All right. What this say? Essential Civil War career. I'm gonna say that and investigate that. Because they got some funny stuff on their heads looking like some possible, Masonic stuff. Okay, Harriet Tubman. She got a lot to do with this because she was a general up in the army and a spy. So I have to ask you once again, people, if she was a spy, how she was spying? And if everybody was enslaved, my people, the Native Americans was the last to go down. They was holding it down, the Native Americans. But these niggas in the Union Army wanted to kill the Native Americans. These niggas wanted to make sure Great Britain stay Great Britain. Because ain't no telling if the world people back in the day had enough of Great Britain. And it was like, fuck them. But these niggas was like, ain't nowhere in the world we is about to let Great Britain go down. And these white folks, don't need to be in jail in America. Get them out to jail. Take them out. They freed all of the white men, including a woman went ahead named Kathy Williams and dressed up like men. She even went at the fight, and she went out there hunting Native Americans. True story. I'm exposing the Buffalo Soldiers. I'm exposing all of the Union Negroes who were scouts who, as well as a lot of Seminole and Yamasees, a lot of them want to try to act like they are so native. Nigga, I know you niggas was scouts, chasing out the Spanish Indians. So I'm on top of you niggas. And just because they don't know, I know, nigga. Your granddaddies are sellouts. I know what my family did. So, I don't have to research if we were sellouts. I know what we did in Chicago with the gangsters and the unions and the Teamsters. We got the union, we got the Teamsters, we got the gangsters. Nigga, the union is putting us against each other, and we just not figuring this shit out in Chicago. And as you can see, the fucking gangsters are in jail, while the Teamsters is getting pensions. So they blowing our shit up. And the black soldiers served as a sable arm of the Union Army, funded by Great Britain. And they make sure that nobody's going to get enslaved unless they enslave. And that's the only people doing some enslaving is Great Britain. Now let's prove it. What the hell is going on? So we understand that Cedar runs at Manassas, Frazier's Farm, Shetverson's, Fredericksburg, Ox Hill, Harper's Ferry, Sharpsburg. They're about to get ran in on those old men who've been having these farmlands of their ancestors since the times of Tuscaloosa. Goodbye to Manasseh. We know who Manasseh is from Manasseh, and we know Manasseh come from Joseph, and we know Joseph is the patriarch who married into the Moabitesses, therefore giving him dominion in America. So it's pretty obviously who's getting robbed right now with Harriet Tubman's and the black Union officers about to run down here and blow these people to smithereens. Okay, let's prove what we need to prove and shut the video down. And it is called the Alright, a new study suggested 1 million or more European Cretans were enslaved by Muslims in North Africa between 1530 and 1780. 1780 is rather close to 1776 in the Revolutionary War in America. So it looks like right after that they started getting their butts kidnapped for what they did in America. And up to 1.25 million European Christians were captured and forced to work in North Africa from the 16th to the 18th century. That is 200 years of enslavement. And this possibility for anyone who traveled in the Mediterranean and who lived along the shores in places like Italy, France, Spain, and Portugal, even as far as Northwest England and Iceland. So you could be getting captured back then. And when Great Britain had these chance, they definitely rounded up as many niggas as they can to work for them. Same or similar fashion, they fashioned up these Negro blacks and colors to be black loyalists and loyals to the crown, as well as Protestants and Methodists. These black Christian loyalists love the crown of Great Britain. Because they kind of do it like, you know, in the politician, in the political arena. They're like, look, I don't care who has the crown. I am loyal to the crown. I am loyal to the crown. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So, whose side are you on? African American loyalists or African American patriots? So we have the year of the Patriots of the Man Waking Up, and we finally see that these African American black loyalists, led by women suffragist leaders and reformists and revisionists, especially feminists and LGBTQ and others, all as well as immigrants, are against us. And we are not loyalists. And if we are not loyal, as you can see, we will be getting attacked with propaganda, but we have a right to defend ourselves and as well use information for fair use. I have an ongoing collision with these people trying to take my birthright and run in on my culture and dictate my everyday life with their words and propaganda, which is unlawful. But if you don't proclaim and declare that you are exempt from this, they have every right to do it. They prove it every day by calling your phone with these bogus ass solicitations, and they solicit you just like this every day with these bogus contracts and these stupid remedial terms reserved for minorities, wards of the states, and mentally ill persons. You accept, I do not accept. I speak out right now. Great Britain cannot have authority over me and or its Negro workers that were loyalists in British North America and Canada. So, you know, I understand America, what it was called. I understand the Moors over there, the Muslim. And I understand racism is not going to get us anywhere. But when it comes to culturalism and being the leader of my culture, being a historian and also a nationalist to my bloodline and my blood type and my archetype, my phenotype, I have to preserve myself. I have a right to preserve myself. I don't have to discriminate on others and hate others to do it. I can love myself and do this, but we're gonna go ahead and expose these people who don't get enough coverage. That is a long gun blowing somebody's back off. This nigga was over here killing niggas for Great Britain. Who do you think he was killing? Who do you honestly think he was killing? He was killing escaped whites who knew about the genocide. The people who went to the Confederacy, he had a manumission and a charter to kill them and bring the white people back to Great Britain. The Indians and the North African Muslim attracted many of whites up out of Britain. As according to the book I exposed recently, we see that the Moors and Englishmen in the Age of Discovery were present and simultaneously networking in New England and in England and Europe. That is correct. A lot of these Britons, they came and mixed in with the Native Americans, and or they just submitted themselves to the Muslims in North Africa. They had no choice. So we have the passage right here, and I did this video by Nabil Mater a Matar, and he proves that the British people migrated up out of Europe because of persecution. They went to North Africa, they went to America, and today we dealing with those type of people who they claim traded on the throne. The British authorities sent out a decree to capture them, any means necessary. And of course, everybody who hid these people, whoever didn't extradite these people, were persecuted by Great Britain. What is the Mohammedan berry? I'm going to look that up. I didn't even read about that. I missed that. But I don't have to go in on that. You pretty much take my word for it that the Great Britons were escapees, escaping Christendom and Spanish Catholicism. They were escaping the Latin Catholic Inquisition. They were escaping the crackdown on Protestantism. And they lived and traded among the Turks and Moors while simultaneously or subsequently trading with the American Indians and living in their land. So they were with us all this time, and then something took place where they were able to take down the Turks and Moors over here and eventually invade the American Indians by using the likes of Harriet Tubman. Because it says it right here that she's a spy. You know, already got it saying that she's a spy. It's a wrap. You know, the video pretty much is a wrap. She worked for Great Britain. You know, she worked for, you already know who she, where are the fucking children? You know where the children are. Harriet Tubman was tricking them where these people are. But your calcified pineal gland, your nigrodized pineal gland cannot grasp this, nigga. There's no way around this. There's no rebuttal. All you can do is thumbs down the video and say it's a waste of your time because you are a predator. You're a natural child predator who would aid and abet and assist the capture and the kidnapping of these children. You know you serve it. That's why you care about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. When Meghan Markle found out about this woman, of course she's upset. Meghan Markle cannot believe she married into this shit. You're going to find out all the secrets. And the queen don't give a damn because she needs those diamonds. She needs to steal from the Moors and the Israelites. She needs to steal from the Asians, from the Africans and the Islanders. She steals from everybody, and I'm not letting her off the hook. Did she go to jail? What the fuck? I got probation for marijuana when I was a kid. She ain't never even went to the police station. And it already said she's found guilty. She's guilty and ain't nobody gonna lock her up. But you will have hordes and hordes of punks in America trying to blame black men for their problems, trying to blame black men for bounty hunting. Harriet Moses Ross, the goddamn spy who worked. How could you be, you feel me, demonized for trying to capture Harriet Tubman who worked for her? Don't you agree Harriet Tubman should have got her goddamn ass locked up? The queen and her husband have been linked to over 50,000 missing children. And you want me to think Harriet Tubman was saving some goddamn white people? Okay, let's go to show you who they were saving and we can end the video. Because I got too much information on them, period, and then nobody else is going to touch on this because they got to get paid. Niggas got to get paid out here. They don't got time to expose criminals and execute law the right way. So we got the media, we got the information. It's a wrap. You know we got them. You know we got them where we want them. We have all the facts. We have white slavery, whorehouse riots, and venereal disease and saving women. So women's suffragists origins is with this right here, as well as HIV and whorehouse riots and white slavery. Now they try to say white slavery is any form of prostitution, but it was emphasized back then because of the Barbary slavery of these women, and in America as well, they had many slave and cat houses using these women for that. And after the HIV pandemic, in the 1890s to the 1920s, the whole world had to kick in because they were walking diseases just like now today. And HIV through sex work was common. Nonetheless, certain conceptualizations or interventions aimed at sex workers may retain elements of the pre-HIV period. So they were still, even with contraceptives back then, they were still spreading it. And then you thinking HIV comes from Africans. So you need to get up on your research and find out. The feminist movement is shrouded in prostitution. Prostitution was the order of the day. They're mad at everybody because they were all prostitutes. Harriet Tubman didn't like that. She freed up these women. She freed up the men. You know. Let's say. Proof of white male slaves. Because we can get an idea. Those old Confederate men, Great Britain ain't liking that. We know Great Britain ain't liking that. So they would do anything to break those niggas up in Great Britain. So they hired all these niggas, you know. But, you know, it ain't gonna work out like how they think, because the ADOS asking for trillions of dollars is gonna have to recognize some white slavery. I'm on top of ADOS. I don't give a good goddamn about those slithery tongue niggas acting like they exposing some shit. You ain't exposing shit until you talking about this indigenous money in these lands and these Moors who got their heads hacked off, these Negro heads. And I'm on top of ADOS. I'm on top of all that bullshit. But let them run their course. They're going to expose themselves. This is how lies do. If it's a lie, it's going to end. And we understand ADOS, American descendants of slaves, is going to be white people too. And we know Harriet Tubman was saving these people. Saving her white husband. What his name is, Harriet Tubman's husband, Nelson Davis. She didn't even change her name for this nigga. You know, she remarried, family. Her husband, it says her husband couldn't go to Pennsylvania with her, so he remarried on her. She kept his name because he didn't die. She kept his name and she remarried someone else. Let's see. What breaks down Harriet Tubman? Let's see if we can get a yeah, with this thing, man. Any images? Oh, they don't want to show the second husband, Nelson Davis, right? Because that say John Tubman there. Harriet Nelson. Okay, second husband. Let's see if it's saying. Who was John Tubman? Come on, see the confusion, you? See? Now let's look at these slave Negro pictures that we be seeing on the internet. Now we know these are Harriet Tubman's family. It says life of the Harriet Tubmans. Look at that old woman to the right. Look at the old one right there. Look at the light-skinned one. Look at the old man with the lips. Look at these old beat up, tired people working too damn much in the fields. And they tired of this shit. And she went and saved all of them. And that is a goddamn lie. So Great Britain seen these beat up African looking niggas and didn't like that. You know, it made it rough for them. And there's nothing but Aborigines just like in Australia. They're nothing but Aborigines. And they don't have to be Moors. You know, they can be whatever Great Britain called them. But we always got our door open for all you melanin brothers and sisters. We always got the door open for you all so you can learn how to be Emmanuel or the force within. We will teach you how to be the force within, people, but they want you to go to Great Britain. And, you know, we be shedding tears, but we cannot shed tears no more because you fall for these clowns. You fall for too many clowns. Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson. Louis Farrakhan. How many more clowns are you people going to fall for? She is a fugitive. She cannot be on no money. I'm not spending that shit. I'm changing my currency if this bitch get up on some money, because they already got the other clowns on there. This is a slap in the face. All this is a slap in the face. You know, she is a goddamn traitor for Britain, and Britain loves to kidnap children. And I can do a part 2 to this, but I doubt it. I doubt I will. I seriously doubt that I will. Never want to talk about Harriet Tubman again, because you should get it. You should understand that this is nothing but a scam. You know, this is nothing but a scam because she helped immigrants take over the country. They're trying to help illegal immigrants take over the country right now. Look at Maxine Waters in California. You understand? Look at these people in Chicago. Look at these people in the South and Atlanta letting all them immigrants in. They're going to use those same immigrants to overpower the indigenous community. They always recruit these people to do this. We're on top of the game, and you don't have many options when it comes to leadership and leading authorities on certain information. You don't have many options. You can try it your way won't work. We have a solid rock foundation and as well as spiritual salvation, so we cannot be deemed as savages. We have civility, we have civics, we have our minds eye wide open. We are in the light, not the dark, meaning that we practice moral ethics and principles, the highest principles known to man: love, true peace, freedom, and justice. I do this out of love, so you won't fall for the fuckery from these from these traitors. All of these traitors want a better life in Christianity. You know, they want a better life with Great Britain. Go the fuck on. And it is our time in the Aborigine, indigenous, Muslim, Moorish community to preserve our life and always teach our children to remember who the traitors and the sellouts was for our way of life of walking outside without going to jail. Now, this Masonic clown, mean-faced Nigerian clown, wanted to kidnap children for Great Britain. That's on her. And put people in bondage to pay taxes to make the queen richer. That was her plan, not my plan, people. Don't give a good goddamn who you support. If you made a mistake, Supreme Cobra Commander is going to catch you. She didn't apologize. You didn't apologize. I don't give a good goddamn about this Masonic scumbag. And if you love black history and your slave history so much, kudos to you. And it says that she freed 1,000 slaves, and if she could have freed 1,000 more, if only they knew they were slaves. But according to the truth, she only freed about 70 people. And according to Supreme Cobra Commander's research, she enslaved several children and women, 70 children and women, into the camps of the Great Britons, who turned them into mixos, mixed them up, took their birthrights, and hid everybody else's birthrights. That was the grand conspiracy, to kidnap the children and women and then get them pregnant, have those half-breeds, and steal their birthrights, and then outvote us in Congress. That's how illegal immigrants do it all the time. She is the first person of color or dark skin guilty of human trafficking. And she is a spy. And this video was a wrap. I hope you enjoyed, my people, because you know how I come through. You know how I come through. It's nowhere in the world, it's nowhere in your mind that you thought that I was finna come through supporting this clown. I got no love for no civil war, for no civil rights, civil war, nigga. I'm not mixed up with none of these people. I got my own. And if you with them, use a clown, because you got your own and you don't even want it. You worried about theirs. That's on you. And if you follow my videos, you understand what this video was about. Don't celebrate this. Don't celebrate black history. Don't celebrate slave movies. Don't celebrate slave history. ADOS is nothing but white slaves. I promise you. We are getting reparations because it was our civilization that was destroyed, meaning we are prisoners of war. We are wounded. Our women are injured society, injured humanity. We must uplift them. Our children must be taught who they were naturally and originally before the great change and the great strike on the old world. We got the Negroes. We know who the Negro sellouts is. They mark them. They brand them with all of the titles: Negro, Black and Colored, African American, Christian, dummy, coon, shine, boy, girl, wench, heifer, cunt, all the names in the book. And of course, we have coon, sellout. And I'm on top of the Masonic niggas thinking they finna sneak up in the conscious community, telling anything to the children, trying to teach us anything, trying to tell us anything about what we should accept. We are on top of you goofy ass niggas who love Great Britain so much. You love Nigerians so much. You love Africa so much, nigga. We love peace so much. We love the sun so much. We love our melanin. We love our nature. We love us. We love our natural leadership. We love what the universe, the stars, and the moon, and the sun do for us. And we don't give a damn about what you think. We going forward with us, and that's all we need is us. We never had no friends. And we understand these sellout ass, dark skinned ass folks don't love themselves. And a lot of these light skinned ass niggas is so far gone. We'll never get them back. We don't want you back. Go to Great Britain, and the kingdom is ours. Because it's within. We are happy, full of love, not hate, loving ourselves. And guess what, my peeps? The time is now. Time is now. The time is now. The time is now. The time. I said, the time is now. The time is now to wake up out the spell so you won't be in hell. The time is now. The time is now because they're stealing all our land, sending our niggas to jail.